huge meeting is going to be happening later today. We're talking about the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has got one of the most important talks that's going to be happening in the Fed Chairman's history. And what is this going to do for Bitcoin? Because the place that we're at in crypto within the 4-year cycle, where we're at with the liquidity markets, are they going to turn the money machine printers back on? Bitcoin is going to have a massive, massive move, and we're going to actually cover that. We're going to have some predictions where that's going to be heading. And folks, I also got some secret alpha to share with you folks later on towards the end of the stream. But we got Kelly, special guest with us. Josh is running some errands, and he's actually prepping and doing research for a 2 p.m. live stream that we're going to be doing today. No longer going to be 4 p.m. just because we want to go live with Jerome. Kelly, how are you doing today?
You know what? I'm feeling absolutely spectacular coming back from Bitcoin conference. We got to meet so many of you out there and also a lot of other people that are here on the media side of crypto. And it was just so nice to see such a more sensibility this year. And you know what? I couldn't be more excited about what's happening in the market right now. May it drop a little more? Sure, but that's just opportunity. We're going to be breaking down some of those levels today and a lot of the news that might take us one way or the other.
No, it's not technical issues. Josh is not on the throne. He did not drink something besides distilled water. Everything is fine. But we also got TJ in a wonderful mood. TJ, you just had a fantastic morning. Probably can't go into the details, but it's there's some clouds hanging over us, and you just had a huge, huge ray of sunlight today, right?
Yep, it's a sunny day here in north of Atlanta. So yeah, things are going good. Happy to be back. Great conference, as you guys mentioned. Had a really good time at the Bitcoin conference. Really good time connecting with a lot of other people, and a lot of people there seemed like a lot of people got sick. But other than that, we had a great show.
So TJ, let me ask you: would you say that facts always win?
That what always wins? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Facts.
Facts, yeah. Facts are the best way to make decisions and analyze information, and that's why we try to bring facts here on this channel. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And I got some facts for you folks. If you hit the like button, you are gonna make Bitcoin go up 2 pennies. So we need every single one of you at home to hit that like button. Let's get Bitcoin going. I don't know how it works. Something about the math. Do the meme right now with the triangles and stuff. But something's gonna happen when you hit that like button, and it's gonna make you feel warm and tingly inside. So please go ahead. Now let's get right into the crypto markets. I want to hit refresh just to get the freshest data, because it looks like we're getting a little bit of relief bounce on Bitcoin for the 24, but then the last couple hours, honestly, have been pretty bearish right now, folks. Actually, maybe even the last 30 minutes here. So Bitcoin did do a little bit of a pullback, although we were feeling kind of bullish just a little bit ago. Now, if we look BNB, kind of getting some gains here. All the other coins were pumping over the past week. BNB said, you know what? The RSI, I'm oversold. It is my turn to shine. XRP continues printing green candles. XRP continues to be the best performer in the top 10. XRP community, they don't even know how to act right now. They're confused. They're just as confused as I am. But there's a lot of people are wondering why XRP. We're going to talk about it. We have it later on. We're going to have some reasons why we're seeing some of the pumps, and we break it down. So if you got that old bag of XRP and you're like, why did that thing move? Why is this the best performer in my portfolio today? We are going to let you know. Kelly, XRP, I still hold a small amount. Do you have any? I was wondering. I don't know.
No, I held quite a bit of our XRP about 3 years ago, and I haven't even considered holding it now. And I'm not hating on you. If you do, you might believe what you believe, but it's not something that's interesting for what I'm trying to do with my portfolio this cycle.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing it move now. I have heard, it sounds like you guys already have this information for later in the show. I have heard some kind of insider stuff about things happening over there, which is good news for anybody holding XRP, which I'm happy for. The main reason I've stayed away from it, and I think I've said it before on the shows, it's very hard to predict payments coins. It's so political. And so that's why I stay away from it. It kind of removes our advantage unless you have good insights on the political side of things and what, Ripple is doing behind the scenes and where and all that sort of stuff. It's really hard to predict. Are they going to go with XRP or, in my opinion, I think they need a stable coin. That might be a little bit of a tease for later, but,
But in addition to that, when you consider like what the narrative around XRP was early on, was it had a lot to do with things that are integrated and what banks do themselves. And I think 3 years ago and, a few years before that, blockchain was such a nascent space that it was like, of course, this is going to be something that, all banks are probably going to use for cross-border. And I mean, so much going on there. But now we're seeing a mass appeal from institutions, which was absolutely supported and echoed by this huge wave of adoption or buying, I should say, for the Bitcoin spot ETFs in Q1. Almost 1,000 institutions, not getting 1% or 2%, but sometimes 14%, sometimes 24% of their assets under management. So the appetite for blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto is real. And so I can't imagine that they're not going to want to maintain some level of control and some level of security within their own bounds and launching their own private blockchains. We've already seen it with JP Morgan launching their own coin. So it's hard for me to want to really invest into a token or a project that is I don't want to say attacking, but that is going after a market share that's so heavily controlled by the banks.
Yeah. And we got a question. You might have touched on this a little bit yesterday, but KO Kev, asking, ADA still any good? I'm sure you covered the news yesterday about the SEC dropping that lawsuit against Matic.
Yes. We actually got a video tonight, 7 p.m. We're going to cover Solana, we're going to cover Polygon, we're going to cover Cardano, and then a fourth secret coin. The fourth secret coin is actually probably the one that might pump the hardest. That is going out at 7 p.m. A very detailed analysis breakdown, and I give some very bold price predictions where they're going to go this cycle. And I do a special formula, folks. I put on the accounting hat. I bust out the Excel sheet. I look at Satoshis. We price it in Satoshis. We look at Bitcoin cycle tops. I have a 120K target. I have a 180K target. And then I do the math on where do these coins peak after Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin hit its all-time high, that's not necessarily when the altcoin will have its most Satoshis, when it have its most value in Bitcoin, actually a month later. So I do a very detailed math analysis on where these altcoins are going to go, folks. So you got to definitely have on notifications and watch that at 7 p.m.
And it's
tonight.
the time in the cycle, guys, for everybody to lock in. If you don't have notifications on this channel turned on, you should go ahead and click that bell up at the top corner and get notifications turned on, because these next 12 months is going to be when it pays the most to pay very close attention, get that information quick. And speed pays in crypto. So, I mean, obviously you want to analyze and take in a lot of information, but you also, lagging on an investment. That's one thing I would say has got me in the past. I hear somebody talk about something. It sounds interesting. It sounds good. And then I don't take immediate action. And then, that coin rips. And then I go to get into it. And it's already done the biggest part of its move. Having those notifications on now and paying close attention and taking quick action generally pays off well in crypto.
Someone asking Pocket Protector D's. Actually, I dropped out of accounting school to become a full-time Twitch streamer. I want to be a professional Magic the Gathering streamer, so I actually dropped out. But
I wanted to show something, though, on a visual so people really understand it. We're not just pulling a rabbit out of a hat. When we're looking at this chart right here, what we're seeing is on these candles, this is the Bitcoin price. The orange line here, this is overlaid on the basically the exact same time of the altcoin market, the total 3 market cap. And I want you to notice, I can actually delete this to make it a little more clear. As Bitcoin starts to rip, we can see right in here. Let me move this up. We can see right here. This is still going. This is total 3. Yes, it's starting to move up, but way, way less than Bitcoin. It takes for quite a while, almost 55 days, for the altcoin market to really start to move up. And it actually can take a little bit longer than that, I think, this cycle, because of all that institutional appetite. Now, the market cycle top, almost a month later, we get that rip up. Why is that? This is that rotation of capital we've been talking to you all about for the last year. I break all
that down. All that is in that video, folks. You're going to have to watch that. I have the psychology of altcoins in that as well. All right, folks. TJ said anal lies. That's what I heard as well, folks. But no. Speaking of anal lies, let's talk about some more bull crap in the markets. The freaking Caspa coin is just going nuts. And we told you this thing was going to go crazy. But folks, when you see the biggest loser, you're going to hit the high notes. But Caspa, fantastic job. We said, me and TJ were just saying this, I think, a couple days ago, how Bitcoin mining, they're going to be trying to position all this expensive equipment into something that makes money. And then mining Caspa is a way for these big enterprises to make money. So Caspa ranked 25 right now in crypto market cap. I can see it breaking top 20, everybody. We also have Beam doing well. I haven't heard from Beam in a long time, but getting close to 2 pennies. Mog coin, we're going to talk about Mog. We got an article on some altcoins. Flow, EOS, and Notcoin and Aave. So Aave's still doing well after the compound hack. But now I said the biggest loser going to make you hit them high notes. I'm talking about Helium. Helium is down 6%. We got Phantom. Phantom is down 7.9%. ENS losing all the gains that it's had. Theta is also down. Render. When is there going to be a good Render entry here? Let's go to Render. Let's hit max. Render is starting to look kind of attractive. Everybody, we're pretty close to this little local peak right there, 573. We're right now 592. I'm not hating buying Render under $6. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think that's great. You know, I mean, considering I did a video last night on the BitLab channel about BitTensor and also talking about what's going on with the AI market. I think, you know, the support of that sort of niche with the DPIM plays and with the sheer GPU processing power, storage, there's going to be an economy around the entire ecosystem of AI. And I think Render is going to play a major role there. We see a lot of the partnerships that they've been building into with NVIDIA and also some integrations with, was it Octane on Apple? I mean, they are positioned to do very well this market cycle.
Very, very well. Now, speaking of cycle, let's talk about the 2 p.m. talk. It might be one of the biggest FOMC meetings, at least when it comes to the crypto market cap and what Bitcoin's going to do. Because Crypto Watch, why today's meeting is the most important meeting of your life. That's according to Jake Simmons here. Pretty bold words, everybody. Now, let me go ahead and zoom in a little. Let's make it a little easier for those at home. All right, here we go. For the crypto and broader financial market, FOMC day is upon us once again. And analysts agree that analysts agree that today's meeting will be one of the most important in recent years. Alt Richter, a financial advisor and founder of Ivory Hill, even describes the meeting as the most important of your life. In a new post, he explains why. The key question for today: how strongly does the Fed signal a September rate cut? Remember, the September rate cut is likely, but it's not guaranteed. The expert explains investors are directed to pay close attention to the statement at 2 p.m. Remember, Josh is going to go live. You're going to want to stick around for that, or make sure you have on the notifications for that one, especially the third paragraph, which could subtly signal the Fed's confidence in reaching its inflation target. So this is important. We got to hit our inflation targets. Once we hit our inflation targets, that's when the cost of borrowing can be lower. When the cost of borrowing is lower, that's when it spurs economic activity. Home sales go up, car sales go up, and maybe Bitcoin's price could also skyrocket, folks. All right, so here we have, he is advising, look at the third paragraph for this key sentence. The committee does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the range until it's gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. Any modification would be a clear signal we're nearing its goals. In a dovish scenario, and so here we're expecting a rate cut for September, then a broad market rally, especially in sectors less sensitive to interest rates. So sectors less interest sensitive. So a home, very, very closely tied. Maybe, you know, a weird stock that has nothing to do. S&P 500, you know, maybe less so.
Or like groceries and stuff, obviously a little bit less tied to, you know, maybe energy, somewhat a little less tied to it. But like you said, home prices, all that stuff, very tied to it. Interestingly, Gary the Lizard, he's the super optimistic one in the chat. He says he's holding out for a 25 basis cut today, which obviously would shock the market.
Could you pull up Polymarket?
Yeah,
let's see what the rates are today. I think it was under 10%, but you know, crypto's full of degen. So like, let's say the actual odds were 3%. You might get a 30x. You're going to have some crypto degens that will say, oh, I want a 30x. And they'll put in enough money where that 30x is diminished to a 20x. And they're still like, I'm a degen. I see a 20x.
Are you looking for money on it? Polymarket on Fed interest rates?
Polymarket yes. Fed interest rate and cuts.
I think based on what you were just reading, I think they kind of tipped their hand just a little bit at the G20 summit. I think I referenced it when Jerome Powell talked about it. He has already more or less said that they don't think they have to hit that 2% interest rate. He thinks that they're moving, you know, that the economy's in a decent enough place to where they're going to abandon that target. And I think that's the kind of the sentence you were just talking about. If they say that in this meeting today, expect a September rate cut. But I think he's already tipped his hand. So I'm expecting that to be what happens today.
Wilford Billfold. Yeah, today was a great day. Let's just say the other side was looking sketch, looking fidgety.
Now, did you want to see how many rate cuts this year, or just the Fed interest rate?
Well, there's one that has the odds of
whether or not gets cut today, or what gets cut. Like I think the odds were as high as 60 or 70% that it was going to cut in September.
Yeah. Maybe it's first rate cut. I'm not sure what the exact verbiage is on the top. In a hawkish scenario, there will be no change in the forward guidance by the central bank. If we do not, if they hint that we're not going to get a cut in September, the markets, they say, might experience a downturn. I think it's for sure going to be a bloodbath because of what people are expecting.
So here we go. Kelly's got it. Let's see.
Economic bloodbath.
Can you scoot your, we're missing the left-hand side.
You want to just scoot the whole scoochy to the right.
There it is.
There it is.
All right.
So 75% chance of a 25% basis cut.
I'll find it.
13% chance of a 50% basis cut. Only 14% chance of no change. And negative under 1% that they'll increase. So I don't think they'll increase, but
all right, here we go. I found it. Here, let me just for those looking at home, and for you too. You click on Polymarket, you go to business, click on business, you click on business, then you go to Fed rates, and then you can see Fed rate cut by. You click on here, July 31st. Folks, 3%. I said 3%. I was right. Yeah, 3% there. I didn't know 3% that we're going to get it. I don't even think there's a 3% probability. I think there's 3% of people want to take a gamble on a 30x payday. And so I think that's very unlikely. But the September 18th, 84% of people, really, if you include that 87% of people think we'll get at least one cut by then.
And you know what?
95% think we'll get one this year.
We got to give some props to a friend of the channel and friend of all of ours, Caleb Franzen. He's been calling for somewhere in either mid Q3 or even Q4 of this year since almost a year and a half ago for when the first Fed rate cut was going to be. So he's been very on point with his calls in these markets.
Yeah. All right. So we're looking here, and someone in the chat was actually, well, what about Japan? There's actually some big news in Japan about their rate cuts as well. Bank of Japan raised its key rate 0.25, 25 basis points, and unveiled a plan to halve bond purchases as it normalizes policy. Their financial governor here pledged to keep hiking if the bank's price outlook materializes. They're looking into why some market participants couldn't access its website ahead of the decision. And so it's interesting that, maybe it's a DDoS attack. Maybe it was closed to certain IPs. But yeah, it looks like maybe some people are able to front run that decision. So weird stuff happening in the Japanese markets here. We also have higher than expected CPI in China. The yen jumped past key resistance level. Treasury yields a little change ahead of the Fed. Crude and gold rose as tensions, we're seeing some tensions rise. The shekel tumbled. Headache for the ECB, and the Fed probably moved closer to lowering rates by signaling a potential cut in September. So basically, the markets are expecting September cut. Anything maybe suggesting a cut? I mean, if we get a cut today, huge God candle, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think it will actually, yes, I think it will send markets higher. But I think what people still fail to realize, and that even people in our chat, I want you all to understand that we've seen historically that when you get rate cuts, it's typically because they're starting to see things that are starting to break. However, we're also in an election cycle year, and I think they're going to try to do everything possible it's not supposed to be politicized. The Fed's supposed to be separate from the government controls, but we all know that that's not the case. And so with that being the case, I think we do get pump from it, but I don't think there's anything that can stop this Bitcoin train, regardless of if we get a push up.
No, there is one thing that can stop the Bitcoin train. That's if you lose all your Bitcoin, everybody. I do want to give a big shout out to Arculus, our sponsor, our stream powered by Arculus. So make sure you don't lose your key, not your keys, not your cheese. Hold on to your coins with cold storage. We have a link down below, DC10, if you want to save some money as well, folks.
But I wanted to also throw to this chart right here. This is a global liquidity chart. And I just want you to notice when the Bitcoin price in orange, the global liquidity in blue, when this really started front running global liquidity, the fuel for bullish price action ticked up. The price took a little bit of time, but then that's when we got the market moving up. When we were in a bear market, was it just Bitcoin in a bear market, or was it global liquidity ticking down? Similarly, we've had 3 higher lows on global liquidity, and we've also just seen that China just started really kicking back on their money printers. I do think it is soon to follow here in the States. There's nothing you can do without printing money to service this $1 trillion+ a year just in servicing the interest. The only thing they can do to combat that and to keep this machine going is to print more money.
Yeah, $1 billion just to pay our interest every 8 hours.
Well,
and it's totally insane.
It's important for people to remember too, like you were just referencing, Kelly, the global liquidity, and when other nations are printing or cutting rates, you have to remember all these nations, especially the major ones, hold each other's debt. So when when the U.S. is holding Chinese debt, Chinese is holding U.S. debt, it's constantly a currency battle of who can devalue their currency faster in this economic battle. So when you see other major central banks cutting rates, that's almost inevitable that we will follow. And whoever can hold out longer generally has more power. And so that's what you generally see. But as soon as they start cutting, we almost have to start cutting, or all of a sudden our balance sheet starts reducing. So it's like I said, it's pretty inevitable in my opinion that these cuts are coming this year. Whether it's, I don't think it's going to be today, but probably in September, maybe even again in November or December. And as you just showed on that chart, as money gets cheaper, so to speak, as money starts getting injected into the system, that's when we see asset prices rise.
Ooh.
And that's how the game is played.
You guys ready for a crazy theory? What if instead of a 25 basis cut, we get a 50 basis cut in September? That gives us a very good stock market in October and November. What's happening in November?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a big meetup nationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing some national polls.
You're just not allowed to give anybody water if they're in line for the meetup.
Yeah, can't give water, and it should be a national holiday. It should be on a Saturday.
And you see that traditionally over the years, in election years, they're going to want the markets to be pumping. They're going to want to claim a strong economy. And whether it's, let's say, manipulated or whether it's created, manufactured, I guess is the word I was looking for, or not, that's what they want to be able to show. And so, yeah, expect rate cuts, expect surging asset prices. And this is why, again, it's good. That's why it's always a good day to buy Bitcoin, because when you hold a hard asset like Bitcoin, like real estate, like some of these other, stocks aren't a hard asset, but they do appreciate a lot when new money gets injected into the system. So if you're trying to move from, the middle class to the upper class, the lower, if you're trying to change classes, the number one way to do that is get yourself some assets. Bitcoin is the easiest one to accumulate in small portions. It's not easy for everybody to go out there and just start buying houses and stuff. But if you can buy $50, $100, $1,000, whatever you can spare, if you can put your spare savings in Bitcoin, it will change your life over time.
Yesterday, was it 2 days ago? About 1/10 of 1%.
There you go.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a large amount. Hey, you did something cool, like you made your lunch instead of going out for lunch. Put that $10 towards Bitcoin.
I would argue that the easiest way to change class is to hold the US dollar. The problem is you're going to change class in the wrong direction. Now, with that being said, I do want to bring this up. This is from a friend of mine, Johnny King. He just illustrates here basically the US national debt over the last 10 years. 2015, it was only $18 trillion. Come today, 9 years later, $34 trillion. That's a 60% growth over 10 years. US government revenue over 10 years only had a 24% growth. There is a huge disparity there. There's nothing we can do to catch up with the debt we have, which is why I Bitcoin, which is why you're here, which is why you Bitcoin and crypto. So let's go.
Let's go, everybody. No, we did not go to the Megan Thee Stallion concert in Atlanta last night, but maybe we'll talk about it in a bit.
No, but Bad Fox did say everyone likes a hard asset, so that's
So does that relate to the Megan Thee? Anyways, Magnificent Seven here. The stocks have now erased a combined $2.6 trillion of market cap over the last few days. We got Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Apple, Meta, and Tesla. And so of these seven, losing $2.6 trillion of market cap. That is nasty right there, because that's only in 20 days. That's an average of $125 billion off each market cap per a day for 20 days straight here. NVIDIA alone has erased over $1 trillion in market cap since its high seen a month ago. In other words, the Magnificent Seven have lost as much value as NVIDIA's entire market cap. It's also $200 billion more than every stock in Germany's stock market combined. What happened to big tech? So,
I mean,
give me a little opportunity here.
Look at this chart right here. I remember people talking about Bitcoin being too volatile. This is Microsoft, one of the largest companies in the world. They met their earnings per share. They actually exceeded it. They met their revenue. The only thing they slightly missed on was cloud revenue. And I think this is just, something that we need to pay attention to moving forward. It doesn't mean it's over for the traditional asset bull market, but it goes to show you Bitcoin's actually moving into the traditional asset sort of, I don't want to say comparison, race, and a much more stable faction. In fact, Bitcoin, people say, what's it backed by? It's backed by energy. It doesn't need to be backed by all these other fake things that are just speculation. Other things are going to end up being backed by Bitcoin. That's where we're at.
Backed by game theory, and it's backed as the counter to human greed. So do you want to bet against human greed? For sure, yeah, Bitcoin's going nowhere. But if you think human greed is a constant that's probably going to continue for the rest of mankind's history, then maybe Bitcoin's going to be a good thing. And I don't mean greedy for like people want to buy Bitcoin. I mean greedy as in the people who control the money supply are going to be too greedy to stop financing wars and, let's just say, having lavish lifestyles and creating a world that looks more and more like the tail end of, what's the movie I'm thinking of with Jennifer Lawrence? Hunger Games.
Games.
We don't want it looks like Hunger Games is getting closer and closer, folks. It's going to start with Idiocracy, and then after Idiocracy, it's going to be Hunger Games. After that, Water World, if you listen to Greta Thunberg. Anyways, this is our top nominee, according to some polls. For running for president. This is the potential winner. Speaking about inflation, everybody.
Turn it up.
Experiencing record inflation, the worst in 30 years, way beyond
gets louder.
expectations. OPEC didn't increase oil production. Can you tell us a little bit about how you would prevent the new spending and your Build Back Better agenda from exacerbating the problem?
How do you prevent inflation from continuing? What are you going to do to fix inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously. But there is also
but how do you fix it?
To make on the Build Back Better framework. One, it is designed to make it less expensive for working people to live.
Ow.
Yeah. Okay, so it's designed to fix it. Well, what's the design?
It was specifically designed to bring down the costs of childcare and increase accessibility and availability. Designed to bring down the cost of elder care.
Yes. Okay. Again, how exactly?
And make it available to all those working families that need that support and need that help. And Build Back Better is not going to cost anything. We're paying for it.
All right, so let me just say something. There's an economic reality. Anytime the government steps in to help people by purchasing whatever people need and then giving it to the people, the cost of that will go up 100% of the time. So anytime a state has introduced child care tax credits or child care credits where we pay you, child care invariably goes up. The child care costs in that state will always go up. And you see that sector after sector, industry after industry. And so everything she's saying is like, well, we have a program that is designed to lower the cost of bread. And so that's going to mean subsidies. That means farmers are going to get more profits. And then that means everyone's going to be feeling better at the end of the day, except for the average citizen. The fat cats are going to get richer. The politicians are going to get richer because now they have people donating to their political action committees. And of course, the corporations are going to make more money. And so that was just a terrible answer. We have inflation. Inflation is terrible. How are you going to fix it? Then proceeds to give the definition of inflation and then just says, well, it's designed to beat it.
Yeah,
it's designed to fix it.
Basically, inflation's really, really bad, but we want it to be better. Well, how are you going to do it? That's another code word. Anytime they say this isn't going to cost anything, that's code for we're just going to print the money. And every time they print the money, that means literally the cost of everything goes up. She said that at the beginning of the clip. I remember a couple. I don't know if it was a few weeks ago, we played that clip from TikTok where the guy was comparing.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up.
Yeah, he was comparing his cost of goods, like his household shopping. I think it was a Walmart order from 2022 that he went to reorder, and it was up like 200%. So that's the reality of what the cost has gone up since they started printing money to subsidize everything in 2020. The cost of goods and services is going to continue to go up. And unless you're outpacing the real inflation, which is, again, when they double the money supply, you're talking about pretty much a 50% plus cost of inflation, or almost 100% in some scenarios, depending on the asset. Like, unless you can outpace that, you're going to get left behind. And that's what their policies and initiatives end up doing. To DZ's point, every time they say, oh, we're going to subsidize this, that means give money away. Well, we don't have any money. We're not turning a profit. That means print more money, which means inflation, which means all costs of all things go up.
Education is probably the best example. I can't believe I didn't think about it. Yeah, education. So we subsidize educational costs with government money. And so once you inject massive amounts of government money into a free market, all of a sudden prices rise. It's almost weird how this free market where helicopter money starts pouring into this ecosystem, prices, of course, go up, folks.
Well,
look at the cost of a university. That's one of the biggest things where government subsidized costs.
Well, they bought a lot of people's opinions by, and I'm not saying it was right. There's no way to say what the right thing to do is, but they shut the economy down, and then they bought everybody's silence for $1,200, only to find out now, 3 years later, it costs you $24,000 more to live. And this also echoes, I remember, I forget the guy's name, but he was like the chief economic advisor to the president, and they asked him about money printing, and he literally just talked in circles. And at the end goes, I don't know how money printing works. I don't know how inflation works. It's like, you're the head economic advisor. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think it was so instead of issuing debt, why don't you just print the money?
Right.
Blue's brain is, that's a whole nother video we could do, folks. Anyways, crypto markets shed $100 billion daily as Bitcoin slumped by 4K here. The market watch. Solana, ADA, and AVAX are among the poorest performers on a daily scale here. So basically, we're still trading around in this range, folks. This is Solana Bitcoin. That was for the video. Oh, you just got to front run a chart for 7 p.m. video, everybody. We're going to look at BTC here. We're going to see, folks, I just want to show you this range that we've been trading in forever. I think
and real quick, while you're pulling that up, we've got over 900 people watching right now, 245 likes. I actually just learned this myself. If you guys are watching on mobile, you have to rotate the screen to where it's full screen in order to see that like button. So if you could do that real quick, smash that like button, help get this message out there, help people change their lives with Bitcoin like many of us have here in this chat. We'd really appreciate it. I think no problem on a day like today, we can get up over 500 likes. And if you're watching this after the fact on your computer, obviously it's very easy to see where the like button is. So we appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you guys. We love all you guys. And, all we're asking for is a mere like.
That's all we're asking. I'm just asking you to do a little bit of an index finger move right there, folks. And maybe you got to move your shoulder or elbow. All right, here we have the Bitcoin range we've just been trading around for. I do think I'm feeling a little bit more bearish than I am bullish. I don't think we're going to just break out of this thing without testing at least the mid-range here. You can see it was a point of support. Resistance right there. It was support in the past. Yeah, I do not think we're just going to rip up to the upside. I think it's just, you look at some of the larger time frames, you look at the RSI, you see a little bit of a bear div forming on the RSI here. If you're counting the wicks, I'm not feeling super bullish in the short term here. And when you look at the 3-day, I mean, you can see a little bit of a curvature there, folks. Kelly, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin just specifically trading within the range?
Well, I mean, we're at a very precarious situation right now because it could go either way. But I think the macro.
Are you schlonging right now?
Well, here's the deal. I think the macro. Here's what I'm looking at. This same pattern that I've had drawn on my chart for quite some time. And this box here, it's not just a random box. This is a previous all-time high range. We have just been basically consolidating at these zones, but this is a macro bullish trend. The move on this favors the upside in terms of the true breakout from here. When we look at what's going on, this is where we're at in terms of where the halving was, where we're at in the sort of the halving progress, 7% here. We could see previous cycles at these zones is when we've had a little bit of consolidation before moving to the upside. Similarly, we're sitting right here at the short-term holder cost basis. And when we're looking at this, on the futures, we just had the price come back down into fill this gap filled. We still do. Remember, I'm macro bullish, but we still have this large gap that started back here July 12th. And we have a gap from 58 to 60, about $61,000. I'm not necessarily sure we're going to come down and fill this entirely, but I am watching for, if this does come down, that this will likely be a very strong spring to the upside. I'd be more interested in what happens today with the FOMC meeting. Watch for chop both up and down, but don't get chopped out of this market. I do see a possibility of us coming down here in the near term and hitting this $64,000. But there's a lot to pay attention to, especially once we break out and we actually get that zone to the upside. That's going to be the best part of the market to trade. And on that note, I do want to shout out, we are still under the previous all-time high. This deal is going to be going away very shortly. Head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. You get 15 days free. This was a halving special, and we're going to keep this until we go above that previous all-time high, $74,000. You get 15 days free, and you also get, I think it's about 35% off for the life of your account. We got the Discord, we got the charts, we got the chart requests, member streams. Head in there while that deal still lasts. Lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal.
And we got a link right there. We got the famous soccer coach, Ted, asking how do I hit the like button if I'm watching on the TV. Usually you can click down. You'll see little bars up on the bottom. You click all the way to the right. Sometimes there's like 3 dots, and you should be able to hit it from there.
It should say more actions, more options. I answered that, and then you just click the like button. Also, I did go ahead. I forget who mentioned it earlier, to come back to that money printing conversation. The Mandrake mechanism, you guys should do some research on that. That's basically the definition of how banks print more money and create value out of thin air. And I did pin that in the chat so you guys can see it. It's a wall of text. We can't go through it today, but everybody who's interested should research the Mandrake mechanism. It is very, I think the link I sent comes from The Creature of Jekyll Island. Again, another great read if you guys haven't read that just yet. So that's pinned for right now. Grab it while you can, because I'm going to pin that deal from BitLab next. And all right, there you go.
All right. Speaking of trades, though, I am posting some more trades. We got a Blofin link down below, everybody. I saw this trade when we were pulling up the charts. I was like, all right, let me pull up the Solana. I posted this 21 hours ago. Trades are going well. Now I got some FOMO, seeing some bull divs on Solana on the 30-minute time frames, opening a scalp long. I've closed about 20, 30, 40%, somewhere around there. If we pull it up right here, you can see the bullish divergence. This is a 30-minute candle, and it is heading down with the price as that RSI was heading up. But, I've closed some of it. Now it's starting to look a little bit bearish, but on a smaller time frame, I saw another little bull div. This is 7-minute candles. This means you got to close this within like an hour or two. This is not like I can go to sleep comfortably with this trade here, but I am expecting maybe a little bit of a short-term pop, and then maybe that's when I'll be getting out of that trade right there. And folks, I also telling people, get your trades in profit. Move your stop loss in profit. Keep your trades in the green. You can see this was 21 hours ago. This was 20 hours ago. So get those, get the stop losses in the profit, folks. Don't be like DZ. Don't be a degen and just lock in the gains. But usually what I do is I'll close 10, 20, 30, 40% of a trade there. So that's what I was doing with that particular strategy. All right, we have some more news. Bitcoin currently up for the month of July. How are we finishing? Let's just see. I just want to look at August. So we have 2 red Augusts in a row. And then before that, it was 2 green, 2 red, 1 green. So this is 2024 is going to be similar year to 2020. 2020 was green, or a similar year to 2016. 2016 was red. So we don't have any clear definition of where this is going to go. This is nothing like February, where Bitcoin just loves to be green, everybody.
I just got to say something, because people are posting this in chat, and I can't tell if some people are bots or not. But if somebody's saying, hey, I had $400 and I turned it into $4,000 with Judy Marion's help, she's a financial advisor, that is a scam. Do not engage with those people. If you ask the question or post that sort of thing, you will be blocked, because we don't want bots. We also don't want scammers in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Kelly. Obviously, it's pretty hard to keep a lot of that spam clear. But if you guys ever see, not only in the chat, but also it's usually in almost any comment of any crypto video, it turns into a conversation. It's pretty well disguised. It looks like an innocent...
there's 30 replies.
Yeah, anytime you see that, those are all bots and scams. And so if they're trying to refer you to a WhatsApp link, if they're trying to refer you to some random person who's going to help you with your trades, just be very careful out there. There's still a lot of
and I'll never DM you either, nor will Kelly.
Yeah.
All right, we do have the halving cycles theory. I was thinking about this last night, folks. We still got a lot of room to go. The dotted line that you see is vertical are the cycle tops. And then right here, this is the 4-year cycle. And so you can see we have a projected top far from now. Now they're saying, I want to say that says November. I'm still in the camp that I think it's going to be September, October 2025. I don't know if we'll have another repeat with November like we did in 21, but this is where we're at. We still got plenty of room to go. I was thinking where we're at in the cycle right now. If it is September, we're still over a year away. That's, that would be like me joining Hit Network in like July of 2020. And how would I feel if I was there July of 2020? We still got a huge, huge runway ahead of us, folks. So there's still plenty of action, plenty of bullish activity, plenty of normies are going to be coming out of the woodwork. And pretty soon, maybe within the next 12 months, your coworkers, your neighbors, your friends, your relatives are going to say, tell me how to buy that Bitcoin.
Right.
But I heard about this Bitcoin Cash. It's cheaper. You got to direct them in the right path, everybody.
Yeah. And just to overlay it, to give you a good example, this chart right here from Bitcoin Strategy Platform, it shows all the last 3 halving cycles overlaid of the halving. We can kind of, I don't want to say discount, but kind of count out this 2013 style. But look at these two. Let's turn that off. Boom. Like, there we go. So when we're seeing this right here, we're exactly in line relative to where we were previous to post halvings of where we're at. This is that consolidation, that boring period. As Raul Paul says, we're about to hit that banana zone soon. And I think you got the Kevin Svensson chart you're going to bring up.
Probably. I'm not sure. Kevin Svensson, which one was that?
It's this one right here.
Yeah, I think that's bullcrap.
No, you think it's bullcrap?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because look how higher the price is compared to the RSI equaling the same. So I understand it's like it went up, then it went back down, and to me, it's this is not reading bullish whatsoever.
This is reading entirely bullish because you have.
I disagree.
That's great. I'm going to tell you why I think so. We have the price action pushing up and consolidating and then breaking out higher. Now let's look at this RSI to where this is. The price is much higher, and the RSI came down very low, giving a very strong reset. And basically this pattern in and of itself, this falling, broadening wedge, suggests upside as well as this sort of consolidation where we're at. And we have more room to run because our RSI is lower.
Well,
in addition to this MACD trending back to the upside.
I see hidden bearish divergence. And so that's why DZ is bearish, everybody. If you look right here, you can see price action is slightly heading to the downside. But if you look at the RSI is plummeting, meaning the markets want this price to be lower.
You measure hidden bearish divergence on the tops, not the bottoms.
Plays out either way. Now what?
I will say this.
Plays out either way, Kelly. Now what?
It doesn't. They're the same.
It does. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. I will say, I know I lean optimistic. I have kind of a generally positive sentiment overall. I think Kelly might fit in that same category. I would say, DZ, you tend to take the negative sentiment, generally speaking, not, so it's like everybody has different ways of interpreting things. That's why I like to look at the macro. TA is great. But I would look at the Fed rate. I would look at the halving. I would look at the geopolitical, and there's really nothing that tells me over the next few months things are going to be bearish. We do have a super chat here from Danny Bird, $50.
$50. Bird is the word. Good morning, boys. How are y'all doing? TJ, I hope you got the verdict that you wanted.
Yeah, so
Any
good
comment?
so far. I mean, we're taking it day by day. This is not a short process. It is. I'm definitely learning a lot. I might start a new career into the law industry after this, but no, we're moving through it day by day, answering a lot of questions, providing a lot of information. I feel like the more information that gets brought out and brought to light, the better things are going. So.
All right. Fight. Me and Kelly get along very, very well.
No,
that being said, I do think he is wrong.
No, it's good
there's
have
a combo.
It's good to have a mix of opinions here, guys. You'll see we don't always all agree on everything. We don't always all agree on charts. We don't always all agree on what the best crypto picks are, but that's what you want. You want to be able to have an honest discussion, and everybody, we all have strong opinions here. We all have our research of why we think what we think. I'll
say this. I'm leaning now. I've been paced in the wrong direction. Pacing is a term where you lead people into a particular realm of thought here. Persuasion technique. Crypto Face put out a bearish video last night here. This is the YouTube. I think it's worried about Bitcoin's price action this week. This is why. And so, yeah, maybe I'm feeling a little bit bearish there, but
so that you just illustrated.
But I still see bearishness in the chart.
You just illustrated something that's pervasive throughout the crypto community and anybody that trades assets. Is that we're talking about two different time frames. I'm talking about the weekly continuation over the period of the next few months. You're talking about what might happen in the next week and a half.
No, he was looking at 2 week, 1 week, 3 day, 2 day, 1 day, 1 day, 8-hour candles being bearish. And so no, that is not just a week and a half.
So, but
we're talking about 2 week candles.
You're saying you're bearish over the next week, or you're bearish over the next couple months?
I'm like, we could not see a new all-time high till maybe closer to November. Could be like a bearish couple of. Look, we could chop around in that range. We might not break out of that range until November, December.
Yeah, we could crab sideways.
Yeah, and the range is heading down. Right? It's not a upward range. It's not a sideways range. It is a downward range. So it's going to be feeling very bearish.
I can see that, but the continuation out of that I see is going to the upside.
Do I think we'll break out of the range? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But I've also said I think we're going to test the bottom of that range, and we're also looking at daily candles. So, this is pretty bearish over the next weeks, I would say. But Amer El Masri, he said, wrong, you noob. So, you know what? I don't know, folks. All right. This is why the show is great. You get to hear everyone's point of view and still get along also. No, George, we're actually going to battle over lunch, get to a food fight. It's going to be.
No, this is what it's like in the office literally all day, every day.
No, it's much worse with me and Johnny.
Yeah.
Much worse.
And by the way, this is why the markets do what they do. You might see signals that to you are like, this is clear it's going up. And there's 100,000 other people that are going, no, I'm shorting this to the ground. And it's the battle of the narrative between the bulls and the bears. And that's why it's important to have these discussions and be okay if somebody says you're wrong, and know that you're going to place the bets. You're going to place your trades that's in line with what your strategy is and with how you're managing your risk. And those who do it better are going to make the most money.
Crypto Crank, watch it too. I know he watches Casper Crew. I know he watches Whale Crew as well. All right, let's talk about, speaking of whales, is there a bigger whale than this guy right here? Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon also referred to Bitcoin as a speculative investment with no real use case, folks. Actually did a video on this guy, on this particular comment. Let's see here. We go to videos. It's going to be one of the 7 p.m. uploads here. And I want to say, oh, this is it, folks. There might be a ton angle with David Solomon's. This is the Goldman Sachs All In, folks. So Goldman Sachs also had a big conference not that long ago. And so, let's just say there's some insiders at Goldman Sachs saying ton is the one potentially here, folks. But he did say Bitcoin could be a store of value, but he also said it could be a speculative investment without a real use case. I just hate when privileged people from Western countries, these people that never really knew struggle, never knew hunger, never knew bombs falling on the buildings that they live in. Yeah, Bitcoin has just no real use case. If you're fleeing a war-torn area, huge use case, everybody.
Shout out Alexandra G. Actually, the #1 mod in all of the crypto space. She just also gifted 5 memberships here to Discover Crypto. So shout out to you and to everybody that just became a member.
All right, there was the clear-cut winning trade to be made at the Bitcoin conference. And do you know what it was? It was when that company announced they're adding Bitcoin to their reserves. It was called OneMedNet. They purchased only $1 million worth, $1.8 million worth. Really not that much at the end of the day. Their stock is up 64% over the last 5 days. Oh, wow. We missed that one. We definitely missed that one.
Yeah, there's definitely the trade, the rumor. But really, yeah, again, shout out to Alexander G. 5 memberships. That is sick. Objectively real, reality objectively sufficient enough. Laserface, Wiggins,
read Wiggins' reply, TJ.
Wiggins of Hipfire. I'm just reading who
got it says, I don't appreciate handouts, but thank you, AG. Wait, are we about to get an inflation in memberships?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Helicopter memberships coming in, everybody.
All right. Jerome, sponsored by Jerome Powell's Helicopter Money, everybody. We got James Coots from Country Music Television. No, that's not where he's from, folks, though, but it looks the same. It's Bitcoin already on the balance sheet of several countries. I was telling you this in 2021, especially those with domestic mining operations. Trump and Kennedy's announcement to make it a reserve asset for the U.S. will be front-ran by other countries.
Absolutely.
Whether these candidates are elected or not, the game has changed. Guys, I hate keep doing this, folks, but yeah, that's actually what this video right here. The U.S. senators plan to make you a millionaire. I think it's that one where, I do the game theory on where Bitcoin's going to be heading. Basically, I say if the U.S. adds 5%, other nation states will probably try to do something the same. I said there's going to be probably 3 economic zones that will equal 5%. I think China alone could do 5%. I think the Middle East and the rest of Asia could represent about 5%. I think the European Union, the ECB, I think they could be 5%. Latin America, Africa, it might be a little bit before they get to 5%. But that's 4 economic zones that might diamond hand 5% of all Bitcoin. That's 20% of Bitcoin taken off the market. Actually do a price analysis on where I think that could go if 20% were bought by nation states. I used Wall Street's buying as the indicator there. All right, really, really good video. I put a lot of work into it. I'd highly recommend you guys check it out. Trump, the Dems took the presidency away from Biden like he was a child. This is only 19 seconds. I haven't heard this yet.
Oh, hold on. I wasn't ready for this. And go.
It's only 19 seconds. Here's what he had to say.
They're a threat to democracy. I mean, look at what they just did. They just took over the presidency from this was a coup. Biden is a very angry man right now. You know that. They took the presidency away. His wife didn't want it to happen. They took the presidency away like he was a child.
No comment on that, but Jill Biden does infantilize with her speech. She does speak like she's speaking to a child. We covered this yesterday. Russia legalizes Bitcoin for global payments. But Lark, big shout out to Lark. Lark has a cool take with scary music. It's quite captivating.
Russia, 4th biggest economy in the world, to legalize Bitcoin and crypto as a foreign currency for international payments.
I mean, the scary music
now, what
says
are
I should
Russia's
be scared.
Big exports to the rest of the world?
That's a beat right there.
Oil and gas. Now, interesting that we see this happening so soon after the big announcements Trump made recently. And again, whether or not Trump gets elected, whether or not he implements on the things that he's promising to do if he does get elected, the reality is major presidential candidates, the current frontrunner, I think still, depending on polling you look at, can't really trust all the polls anyway, is talking about adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset.
Huge. Yesterday, I was wondering, what are the exports from Russia and what are the dollar amounts? Oil by far just crushes all the other industries. You see crude and refined, 121 billion, I believe, and 66 billion. And then after that, unspecified commodities, which is going to be a big group of things. Coal, only 15. And so you still energy. And then finally you get to something non-energy. It's wheat. Wheat is only 6 billion. And then after that, it is metals, metal. But when you look at just the percentage of crude petroleum, and they're settling this in potential Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, this is dwarfing what would happen. Say if all of Ukraine and all of Russia sold 100% of their wheat in Bitcoin, it pales in comparison to the effect that crude petroleum and refined petroleum. So Russia selling oil with potential cryptocurrency payments, massive. This is massive for Bitcoin, everybody.
Oh, no, absolutely. And this is actually from James Lavish, retweeted by Simply Bitcoin, shows basically the discussion regarding the $900 trillion in assets globally. Only 0.15% of that is Bitcoin. And if we got to 1%, that would make a $428,000 Bitcoin. Now, to some people, that still feels like a high price. But remember, Berkshire Hathaway, a traditional asset, was trading at $600,000 in February. And also consider the fact that the speed at which the internet grew from 1991 onward, Bitcoin is outpacing the speed of adoption of the internet. And so with that being said, we have all these new capital channels. We have all these new institutions. We have governments talking about putting it in strategic reserves. In addition to this also becoming something that's used for international trade, I don't think this is going to be even trouble to get to.
Stardog with the weird take, Russia selling oil and Bitcoin is the most bearish thing ever. No, because if Russia's selling Bitcoin, that means people are buying Bitcoin and then buying oil with this Bitcoin.
It becomes a means of trade, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're doing that, do you think they just market buy the amount needed, or do they start having a strategic reserve? And so then you end up with a game theory with 193 countries. If 40 of the biggest 50 add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, we're talking about massive pumps. And then these are the steps that end up leading to that.
Yeah, I think what we're going to really start to see as time goes on here is the nations with the cheaper they can produce energy, the more they're going to be mining Bitcoin, and the more energy, like Bitcoin really does represent stored energy. So energy prices are going to be a big factor here. It's interesting. It'll be fascinating to see what countries and nation states do with nuclear energy and different ways they can produce energy cheap and efficiently. The ones that are successful at that have the best chance at mining Bitcoin and adding it to their balance sheet. I do think that's going to be the most effective way to stockpile it. And nations that have a strategic plan around that, which is part of what Trump was talking about, really bringing Bitcoin production back here to the United States. And we do have opportunity to be a leader in energy production if we choose to do it. It's just a matter of if we choose to do that. So, and also shout out to CryptoLark. I saw a lot of people in the chat mention that one of the OGs of content in this space. Really loved his stuff. That was one of the first channels I ever watched. I'll never forget his original intro that he had, just a dude on the internet talking about cryptocurrencies, the little flying thing, and it had a really good beat on that intro too. So that music that he had there was awesome. When Lark bars,
And folks, like I said, this is the video. You can see the thumbnail. If USA buys 5% of Bitcoin, maybe we end up changing this title so people can find it a little bit more easily. But yeah, this is massive. I do the math, I break out the spreadsheets, and where Bitcoin will head if these nation states starts buying is going to be a lot more bullish than you're expecting, everybody. We have some pretty interesting news here. Over 70% of hacked funds are stolen from centralized finance entities. It's a weird way of saying it, are lost too. But yeah, basically 70% of the funds are stolen from centralized entities, aka centralized exchanges. And that's why I just want to give a second shout out to Arculus. Do not store your crypto on these centralized exchanges. Self-custody is the way. We have a link down below. Not only that, we have a deal you can use, DC10. Circle, this is actually huge. This is massive. Circle said to be trading Kelly's about to lose the alpha too. This is Kelly. This should be your next video. Circle said to be trading around a 5. I'm not kidding though. I'm not kidding. This is actually massive. You might, or do you have like 30 seconds, Kelly? I'll try to go through it fast.
He's coming back.
Circle said to be trading around a $5 billion valuation ahead of the planned IPO. It was valued as much as $9 billion when it first tried to go public in a failed SPAC deal. So they're looking to be trading around a $5 billion valuation. Why is this important though? So the privately held stock is already trading, to 5 to 5.25. Sellers are said to be early stage investors divesting for liquidity reasons or Circle employees. Let me just cut to the chase here. We don't know exactly when, but they filed to sell shares to the public in January of this year, and they have the S1 document. So they're trying to have an IPO. Why is this important? Why did I stop Kelly? Why am I saying this is going to be a big deal, everybody? Well, this is the local top for Bitcoin in 2021. We barely broke it in November, but honestly, when it comes to like the amount of purchasing power for Bitcoin, Bitcoin's real top, even to this day, April 14th. It's literally this candle. What also was on April 14th?
Wait a minute. Wasn't that the IPO of Coinbase?
You are certainly right. You can see it right there. Coinbase IPO April 14th. And so, is this Circle IPO? I'm making a bold prediction here. The Circle IPO is going to be the local top, and it'll be the highest we see Bitcoin's price for probably about 4 to 5, 6 months.
And what date is that?
It doesn't matter.
But what did
because they're going to know.
Do they?
So we don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
I haven't seen any estimates. I don't know if there's any estimates in this article here, but we do know they filed that paperwork in January. So Kelly, maybe this could be a little video. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? That's a bold prediction. Coinbase IPO day will be a local top. I'm talking about like for the next months.
Yeah, Circle IPO day.
Circle.
I agree. We've seen this happen also. I think the year previously when we had, or was it 2 years previously? We had backed futures launch. Also was a local top.
Yeah,
there's something about
good point.
Right. So we're getting these major stories that people push up into, and then once that story's evaporated, especially if the price action is already a little overheated, it substantiates, that switch in narrative back to bearish, at least for the midterm time frame. So I'd definitely be interested in that. But what this brings to mind is at the Bitcoin conference, Howard Lutnick, I think his name was, the chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, was speaking a lot about, I think we all underestimate the power and the necessity and the effect that stablecoins have in the market. And, all of this ongoing, we've been covering the news here for years and talking about the speculation about if Tether was truly backed or not. And he was talking about one moment when SBF tried to basically clear $10 billion in basically swaps on Tether, in some ways trying to depeg the price, and they were able to handle it like that. So I'm very interested to see what happens with the stablecoin market, especially. And I do think it's important that it's not just Tether. So I hope Circle not only steps up to the plate, but I don't think we need to take it too lightly that if we do get a top, it's just going to give opportunity for lower prices.
I'm shorting the day of the
That
IPO.
was an interesting, I actually I was reading some data yesterday about USDC versus USDT. And and they mentioned some of that same stuff of liquidity that was there on USDT that wasn't there on USDC. And some of the claims they make about every dollar is backed by a dollar in a US bank. Like, there's some questions in my mind if that were true. We saw some of the issues when depegged earlier last year with the signature or not signature.
Was it the SVB?
Yeah, Silicon Valley Bank went under, and they had a lot of their funds in there, and they're actually using Tether to backstop USDC a lot of times. And Coinbase is kind of in on this. There's an instant convert of USDC to USDT on Coinbase. So I actually, there's been a lot of FUD around Tether for years and years and years, but when they were liquidity tested, they proved true. This IPO for Circle could be another way for them to backstop some of this stuff that they have been claiming they've had this whole time. And I'm not trying to FUD Circle. It's just, I don't know. I have a hard time trusting Jeremy Allaire.
Jeremy Allaire, come on the show.
Yeah,
we'll treat you fairly.
I'm looking towards, not looking forward to, but I'm looking into the future, speculating about
Kelly Stramas.
Kellistramus here.
Kellistramus,
these issues with the mass information we all have now, and I think there's going to be a period of time where there's a little bit of obfuscation of money printing, where they're actually using not crypto broadly, but specifically like USDT, USDC. Maybe it's one, maybe it's the other, maybe it's both, to actually hide money printing in the future.
All right. Well, speaking of hiding money, we got a crazy whale activity on the Ethereum landscape here. Bearish and bullish, everybody. Kelly, everybody give Kelly a nice little applause there. Hit that like button on the way out for Kelly.
Head over to BitLab after this, baby.
Academy.
Yeah.
All right. So brace for impact. ETH whales send over $205 million to Coinbase here. This is ongoing tug of war between the bulls and the bears, but it's also bullish out there. Today, the net total flows for the ETH ETFs was actually positive. It's the first positive Ethereum ETF day since day one, which was over a week ago. Larry Fink's birthday present to Ethereum. BlackRock Ethereum ETF inflow surpasses his Bitcoin ETF inflow. iBit defied trend, recording 74 million, surpassing the $20 billion mark. So iBit still bullish, just the Ethereum ETF was a little bit more bullish. I want to say Ethereum ETF, I was looking at the numbers, pulled in about 200 million yesterday. So maybe Ethereum starting to flip bullish. If you remember Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin was red for 10 days. Maybe it was 10 or 14 days. And then, I think it was 10 ETF days, which was 14 days in the market. And then we started to see inflows. And then that's when everything started to pump. And then that's when we got an all-time high in March for Bitcoin. And so maybe Ethereum, instead of doing 14 days, is only 7 days, because now the market kind of knows what to look for. I told you guys, I think it's going to go from 14 days of red activity to 10 days of red activity. So if it's 7 days, DZ was pretty on point there, folks. So you know what? I'm going to break my shoulder, pat myself on the back there. In 1 week of trading, the ETF iShares already top 10 or top 15 inflows of all ETFs. So launching in July, only 1 week of trading, and it's a top 15 ETF. So top 15 out of approximately 330 new ETFs. Top 4, all spot Bitcoin ETFs, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be, if you guys don't know this already, the spot Bitcoin ETFs that launch are pretty much, specifically the BlackRock one, the highest and best performing of ETF of all time, far surpassing gold and any other ETF that's ever launched. I imagine, given a little bit more time and volume, Ethereum will move into that number 2 spot. Obviously, it's spread across several different products. I believe there was 9 big majors for the Bitcoin one. I'm not sure how many for Ethereum. So if you combine them, I do believe we will see, again, the Bitcoin ETF number 1 far and away of all time, Ethereum ETF number 2 far and away by all time. And we are moving into a new era in crypto and a new era in the digital world and finance. And that's why I could not be more bullish on this stuff. If you guys haven't gotten exposure yet, please, if you care about this, do your research and make your decisions wisely. But I tell everybody, it's a great time to be getting into Bitcoin. If you have an opportunity to get into crypto 100 days after a halving, it's literally the best possible time if you haven't done it yet. So don't overthink, don't outthink yourself. Get exposure to this stuff because it will change your life.
All right, Gary the Lizard, I got to go, TJ, to decide to hash it out in the parking lot, live stream it. No, only hashing I would do in a parking lot would be like in my younger days in a van with the windows rolled up, and a van down by the river. Potentially. All right. Transact freely, everybody, with Houdini Swap. I want to give a big shout out to Houdini Swap. Just really, really good bridging tool, sending tool, swapping tool. So if you're tired of using exchanges, this is just a good way to get your ETH into Sol into Chainlink. They have 4,000 tokens across all chains there.
Great product for a lot of different things. Easy to use, simple to use, good prices. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and they're already getting closer and closer to 200,000 total transactions there. Cardano founder sparking a rivalry of Cardano versus Ethereum with this claim. So there's a picture. It was its birthday. ETH turned 10. Well, on the day it was born, day of the C section here, or the ETH section here, there is no Charles Hoskinson. And so many people are asking who is who in that picture from my phone back on Ethereum's launch day. So here I go with what I remember. And then Pickles Cage, known for being in a cage of bees, he says, "Oh, look, no Charles Hoskinson. Ooh, burn, shots fired." But Charles Hoskinson had a retort. What did Chucky Ho-Ho say? Well, I left in June of 2014. This picture is July of 2014. The world has Cardano now, and Ethereum gets to borrow a roadmap. Worked out for everyone. There he is, sticking the finger in Ethereum's eye. Is this helping or hurting Cardano's price action, TJ?
I don't know, to be honest. I can't tell. I do feel like Cardano is somewhat of the redhead. It doesn't seem to get the respect it deserves in the space. I do know it's it's very different programming language and it's not as EVM compatible, harder to integrate into stuff. I think they would argue that's a positive thing. I think the world needs both. Obviously, Charles was involved in the beginning of Ethereum. I think he did have a lot of incredible contributions to that. I do think a lot of what they've done on Cardano through their research has been adopted by many other chains and developers in the industry. So I think it's good to have both of them in the world. I think Charles cares about making the world a better place, and I do think he has done a lot to do that. Vitalik as well, and I think Charles would agree with that. Both him and Vitalik have done great things to advance society and humanity into the digital age. They're both, way smarter than I am or most of the people that I know. They're both very intelligent. They think of a lot of different things. So I'm a fan of growth for this entire industry. So I'd love to see Cardano have its day. I think they do the best at remaining decentralized and avoiding regulatory capture. I think that's one of the, maybe sticking points or negative points around Ethereum, that it's kind of getting, through, like we were just talking about USDC and Coinbase and some of these things that, again, Coinbase, vital for the growth of Bitcoin and crypto, and like what they've done to advance the industry is huge. Are they subject to some regulatory capture, some government capture? That's for you to decide, but I tend to think so. So yeah,
I think we could see a pump. There's a couple catalysts. One, I think Cardano price action will make it pump. So like as it gets closer to $1 and still looks bullish, a lot of people will flood back into the ecosystem. Look at the previous all-time high of $3 and be like $5, $10, $20. You'll start to see all those moon targets. Actually, I got a video coming out. I think it's tonight. No, it's the altcoin one where I have a big prediction where Cardano is going to go this cycle here. But I will say, if Charles pops up on Joe Rogan podcasts, I think that could also create a little spike there.
No, I'd love to see Charles on Joe Rogan. I'd love to see Charles. I don't know if he's ever done one with Lex Friedman, but that'd be a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, he did. It's actually Lex Friedman. I'm not kidding. It's Lex Friedman's longest interview ever. It's a 5-hour pod. What the F? Cardano is shit. Still slow and very low active users. I will say it needs to definitely pump its low active users, but it also, some would say, has the lowest bot activity. And that takes me to this graph right here. Coins of Cardano and Bitcoin, almost 90% owned by retail. The share of investors in whale is low, around 10%. For Ethereum, 57% is held by investors in whales. And then they got to throw in Algorand just to shit on the algo community. Excuse my language there. That's 2, not the 1. Bitcoin, 89% retail. Cardano, also 89% retail. Of course, we don't really know this for sure, folks. Ethereum, 57%. And Algorand, 22% there. But these are all guesses. No one knows for sure. Let's just reiterate that. WorldCoin, short traders dominating as the bear sentiment grows. Maybe people don't want a weird surveillance coin ran by Sam Altman to be high price. They want to short it. Starknet, another Starknet token went down with its founder citing minimal user engagement and dwindling revenues. So another little project died there. I saw Zach XBT. He had a comment on it. It was just like typical for Stark or something like that. I don't know how true that is. This is huge. And I think we might work on this and put a video out tomorrow, folks. The DMV putting 42 million card titles on Avalanche. Maybe, TJ, should I do a video on what this means for Avalanche's price? Maybe do a price prediction this cycle?
Yeah, I think this is interesting. This is not the first major partnership we've heard from Avalanche. We know they've done a lot in the gaming sector. I know they've done things with Amazon in the past. So this is, if they're working with governments, and I did meet with the state of California a year or two ago about putting vital records on the blockchain. They were talking about DMVs. They were talking about birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates that are all stored in very analog places right now. When that building burns to the ground, they just lose all the records.
Kind of like the Pentagon's accounting records, right?
Yeah, kind of like
burnt to ashes, and they lost what Donald Rumsfeld said on September 10th, 2001. But anyways, what Donald Rumsfeld said on September 10th, 2001 doesn't matter. No. Okay, doesn't matter.
That has nothing to do with crypto.
Nothing to do with crypto, folks. Yeah. All right, here we do have some bullish stuff for XRP. The amount of wallets holding at least 10K XRP has skyrocketed in the past 5 weeks. Some
big
say it's insider info.
No, I'm just saying big whale activity. And I think there's some insiders that know what's coming next. And I think, we're going to see some movement there. So
we're going to see some movement. I would agree. Speaking of, you brought up Avalanche, working with governments. Speaking of working with governments, we have DAG. Big shout out to DAG. Once again, I just want to give a shout out to the team. They're out in Nashville. Had a great time. They're working with the Air Force, working with all types of interesting things. I haven't even done this. Click on federal hypergraph. I was wondering if it was going to say like providing. It kind of goes into, do you
Yeah, it's hard
Who
for them.
has a bigger bag than the Department of Defense?
Nobody. Pretty
No,
much.
literally,
Yeah.
literally nobody.
They have a blank check for the most part. And
Maybe that ancient king in Africa that was like technically the richest man in history because the amount of gold he had. Like maybe that guy 200 years ago adjusted for inflation. Besides him, no one has a bigger wallet. No one has bigger purse strings than the Department of Defense. So I could just imagine they're going to be splashy cashy with some of those blockchain proposals.
No, I think the partnership wise, I don't know if there's anybody that has a deeper tie to the federal government than Constellation DAG does. It's not a low market, not like a 10 million, but it's not a huge, it's a lower market cap coin with still a lot of room to the upside. I think a lot of what they do is they can't necessarily disclose. But they've also partnered with IBM and several other big, Sony, I believe they were involved with. So a lot of good partnerships there and a lot of big things rolling out. Very fast chain. The DAG protocol is very different the way they process transactions. So very efficient, very cheap transactions, very fast transactions. It leaves itself available to do a lot of different types of applications. So it'll be very interesting to see how that progresses over this next bull market.
All right. I like Eddie's take here. My God, the faces of everyone when ADA has its turn. Yeah, I remember last cycle. It was I was shocked. I didn't expect it.
When it moves, it does move quick. I mean, I think somebody earlier said the same thing. Reality objectively, ADA chart looking like it's ready to rocket soon. And so when it goes, it usually goes very far, very fast.
Yeah, it's like XRP. Like when it moves to the upside, it can move. It will shock you given its market cap.
Yep.
Usually it's because there's a lot of people just not taking the profits that you expect with, maybe some of the S coins. Let's talk about Solana. This is the evolution of Solana Cope, or really FUD. Here's the evolution of the Solana FUD. Back in the day, you'd say Solana is dead. Only has 75 devs. All right, they got some more devs. All right, well, Solana's dead, but the fees and the volumes are low. All right, well, Solana fees and volumes are higher than ETH, but that doesn't include the L2s. And then fast forward to today. Fees and volumes are higher, but the numbers are made up. Well, some of the numbers are made up, aka the two brothers that represented 11 different entities. They're just wash trading the same dollar over and over. So yeah, I'd say some of the Cope and FUD, some of it could be true, but most of it is just people trying to shake you out of the Solana bag. I did the Solana price prediction as well. So we just released what's going to happen to Bitcoin here. But we also have what's going to happen to Solana and Cardano's price. So stick around for that one, folks. That one's going to be real big. Here we have the hottest animal-themed coin. I don't even want to look at this. Hamster Combat airdrop facing delays due to Ton network concerns. Is Ton not the one? Maybe Ton has experienced what it like when you get a lot of activity, a lot of just movement across the chain. Sometimes, Ton might have an issue scaling here. I don't know. And Animoca, they just got a big deal with Layer Zero Labs. It's going to be big for them.
That's one of my favorite low cap ones to keep an eye on. They're also
because it doesn't have a coin yet.
It may not have launched. It might be on testnet. Because I was actually talking with, and you might have been, I don't know if you were standing there or not, somebody that has a bug bounty business, and they basically decentralized hunting for bugs on testnets before things launch. They've done a lot of work for Layer Zero. Also working to solve the interoperability problem similar to Polkadot or Cosmos. Layer Zero is. So that's one I've been watching for a while. Obviously, a lot of times when they're actually solving a real technical problem in the space, it doesn't always translate into price movement, but oftentimes it does. And there's a lot of big money behind Layer Zero, a lot of big VCs, and a lot of very smart minds working on it. I could see this one coming up kind of like a Cosmos did, and just slowly climbing the ranks of the ladder up until that top 30, top 50, top 100. I don't know where it's sitting at right now, but good one to keep an eye on. I've been reading about it for a while.
All right. Layer Zero has coin already.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does.
All right, that's my fault. XRP just partnered with all the swamp alligator banks in Louisiana.
Yeah, they do. They're ranked 122 on CoinMarketCap, so they're already climbing the ranks. It's already up. Like if you want to pull it up on CoinMarketCap, it's already up from its launch. It launched, and we talked about it originally. They had some based on the lockups and stuff like that. It was a better all in. Go to the max.
Yeah, I remember making all the bad puns about the Houston-based rapper Zero. It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, and so there was a really good entry. A lot of the VC money's locked up for a long time, and so
this doesn't look like a terrible entry.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's a good
right here, right now, today.
Yeah, it's a good spot. So guys, that might be the deep pick of the day.
Yeah, if you want to buy it, click on markets. Okay, and then you can see all the exchanges that they're going to have it on. And what do you know?
On Coinbase.
Looks like you can get on Coinbase there, folks. All right. Well, maybe DCA is the way for DZ today. We had an XRP comment. XRP just okay, yeah. Well, XRP skyrocketed 8% to print the best month in a year. Closing the month on a 30% surge right there. So the monthly candle hasn't closed just yet. Let's just see. I know this is Solana. I'm just curious on when this monthly. I know I can hit day. I'm just hitting month here. Month is going to end in 8 hours and 9 minutes. So yeah, pretty close for a massive XRP monthly candle there. And to wrap it up, did we get stopped out? We did not. We're still in the trade. We have closed almost half, I think 30, 40, somewhere around there, maybe 20% twice, whatever the math is on that. So we're still in it. We got the Blofin link down below. I'm starting to get that FOMO, man, that trading FOMO. So I might start making some more trading content, folks. But that's all we got for today. Hit that like button. Josh, 2 p.m. FOMC meeting stream, and then 7 p.m. This is the major one. This is where I talk about what these altcoins are going to do. Where's Solana going to go? Where's Cardano going to go? Where's Polygon going to go? And then the fourth secret coin. You're going to want to hear about that one. I got that bold prediction. Remember, I price them in Satoshis, and I give you the target. If Bitcoin hits 120K, this is where this altcoin's going to go. If Bitcoin goes to 180K, this is where this altcoin's going to go. And then I give you my actual price prediction. And I talk about, how the altcoin cycle, Bitcoin pumps, altcoins pump a month later. I looked at how much Bitcoin will fall in that 30-day period. And then we update the price, and I give you those prices at the end. So it's really, really good video. I highly recommend you check it out at 7 p.m. That's all I got. Hit that like button on the way out. I really, really appreciate it. Tap it till you sprain your finger, folks.